Sword cuts swiftly the root of our pain, dispelling blindness we cling to in vain. Perfectly pure with qualities rare, Tambumi's traverse the conqueror's air. Adorned with 112 noble signs, you are the Buddha who constantly shines, lighting the darkness of mind here and now. Manjushree, to you I wholeheartedly bow. With 60 tones, your rich voice resounds like roaring dragons and thunder it pounds. It pounds. It pounds. It all I bow to Manjushree with utmost respect. Gentle voice guide, you always protect. From clouds of two veils, your wisdom is free. Brilliant and pure like the sunshine you be. The nature of truth you see and impart. A volume of prana you hold at your heart.
Kuzuzambula. Hello everyone, my name is Teshozo. I will be your MC for the teaching program today. I would like to welcome everyone for the teaching on introducing Manjushree. May I now pass on the floor to Jack to kindly introduce the team of translators for our international online audience.
Thank you, Tashi. Simultaneous interpretation are available on Zoom. In a second, you will be able to activate it by clicking on the globe icon at the bottom right of your Zoom panel. First, let me introduce you to your interpreters. For Cantonese, we have Jacqueline.
大家好，如果想收聽粵語嘅即時傳譯，請按你右下角嘅地球儀選擇粵語。
For French, Olivia.
Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à l'enseignement intitulé à la rencontre de Manjushree. Des interprétations sont disponibles et vous pourrez y accéder dans 2 secondes en cliquant sur l'icône du globe en bas à droite de votre écran. Merci.
For Japanese, Akiko.
皆様本日はようこそお越しくださいました。通訳のご案内を差し上げます。まもなく通訳の機能がオンになります。Zoom でご視聴の方で通訳をご希望の場合には、通訳機能がオンになりましたら、Zoom 画面の右下に地球儀のアイコンが出ますので、それをクリックしてご希望の言語を選択してください。
Mandarin, Bella.
大家好，在 Zoom 线上会议的法友们，稍后如果需要中文翻译，可以在我们打开翻译室之后，选取屏幕下方地球标示的中文选项即可。谢谢。
Polish, Alicia.
Witam wszystkich serdecznie. Aby uruchomić polskie tłumaczenie, kliknijcie ikonkę kuli ziemskiej w prawym dolnym rogu ekranu i wybierzcie język polski.
Portuguese, Luciano.
Boa noite a todos, bem-vindos ao ensinamento apresentando Manjushri. Esses ensinamentos terão tradução simultânea que você pode acessar clicando no ícone do globo na parte inferior direita da sua tela. Muito obrigado.
Russian, Masha.
Дорогие друзья, сегодняшнее мероприятие сопровождается синхронным переводом на русский. Скоро в нижней части вашего зума появится иконка с изображением земного шара. Вам необходимо кликнуть на ней и выбрать русский язык.
Spanish, Sarah.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos a las enseñanzas de Presentamos a Manjushree. Hay traducción simultánea al español disponible en Zoom y para activar la interpretación, por favor, ve al icono del globo terráqueo que aparece debajo y selecciona el idioma que necesites.
Tibetan, Sonam. Hello, Sonam. Sonam, can you hear me? Okay, yeah, good, thank you.
정말 뜻이래. 드링크미치 송취디 깨줄기 십시비나 아니 디 비게톤 센르낭라는 슈에인.
So we are going to open the interpretation rooms. Please hold on for a minute. The interpretation rooms are now open. Please click on the bottom right globe icon to select your preferred language. So now please let me pass back to our MC, Tashi, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. For your information, today for this teaching, we have about 300 live local audiences here at the Royal University of Bhutan, where the teaching is currently being held, as well as global audiences listening to the teaching via Zoom and YouTube Live. Thank you to the translators who are simultaneously translating the teaching. As we may all agree, Manjushree is one of the most popular and most revered figures in the Buddhist world. We are indeed very fortunate to be receiving the teaching today on the topic Introducing Manjushree from Dzongsa Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche. With this, may I now request Rinpoche to kindly begin the teaching on introducing Manjushree.
Beginning with some of the best wishes, good thoughts for all of you. For those who I haven't met, I hope you didn't have too much of a volatile time past 2 years. I just want to speak to the other audience. Since I'm facing with several hundred Bhutanese, there will be a lot of Bhutanese reference, which I don't think maybe you should really worry about. So we are going to talk about Manjushri. And Jampalyang in Cheke. You know, there are supposedly many, many bodhisattvas. There are 8 prominent bodhisattvas in the Mahayana tradition. For some reason, some of these bodhisattvas are more popular in some place than the other. But among them, some of them are kind of, you know, I don't know, maybe universally popular. Well, supposedly, for instance, I would say the most popular bodhisattva, revered, popular, known, is Avalokiteshvara, Papajendrazik. Probably it has something to do with Avalokiteshvara belonging to what we call Padma family. Padma, okay, probably I'm using too many of these jargon. So some of you who are very new may get a little tired, but please bear. Because we live in the desiring realm, supposedly this is, you know, the earth is a desire realm of all the emotion. Desire is the prominent. So the bodhisattvas that are kind of related to desire also, I guess, gets more mentioned and active. Avalokiteshvara, as you know, is everywhere. I mean, really, really popular, I have to say. I mean, India, China, Japan, so on and so forth. Then there are some bodhisattvas, like in Bhutan's case, some of the bodhisattvas hardly known, right? I don't know whether, I'm actually kind of puzzled why the Bhutanese are not so aware of Jamshu Sampasai Nyingbo, for instance, on a very, very, very little information or icon or so on and so forth. But Sai Nyingbo in Sanskrit, Kishti Garba, very popular in Japan. Okay, then there's a Manjushree, quite popular. I don't know. Especially places like, you know, like the Himalayan region and then China. But like always, the principle of these figures like Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Sai Nyingbo, Kishti Garba, Akasha Garba, all these bodhisattvas, the principle of these, okay, sometimes we refer them as a bodhisattva, sometimes we also refer them as a yidam, since especially if you are a tantric inclined, like a Vajrayana inclined, which we in Bhutan, we are supposed to be, sort of following the Vajrayana tradition. So we also refer them as a yidam. Now, yidam many times, especially the modern Himalayans, because of their background, because of their education, because probably they went to Kalimpong to study, probably they went to Darjeeling, North Point, Dr. Grimes, so on and so forth. So somehow they ended up always referring these yidam or these bodhisattvas as gods, Buddhist gods, which is actually quite a big mistake. Hopefully we can clarify this today, this morning. But I can have a sympathy, by the way. I have a sympathy because many of these deities, they also appear as a, yes, you know, like a supernatural being, powerful, with all kinds of attributes, and all kinds of appearance. So there is a very good reason why people, you know, like for instance, like a colonial people end up thinking this must be some Asian shamanist, spirit or gods. They're whatever, God, equivalent to gods. But it's really complicated, actually. So let me introduce you Manjushri, first starting with a general audience. In this case, we need to talk about like very outer form of the Manjushri, okay? I use this example a lot. Like if you need to feed something edible, like I don't know, sip, right? Like corn to a small newly born baby. If you want to do that, you can't just force the, corn. The baby will die. So what do? You soften it, mash it, I don't know, mix with milk. I don't know, probably sugar is not a good idea. Anyway, you make it soluble. So you give it little by little. Now, same thing here. If I'm giving you the real Manjushri, sort of the raw, the real one, it's like unsoluble. It's like because we are like these babies who need a bit of a color, decoration, sweets, dressing. Basically, dressing is such a good word. We need to dress the Manjushri. So in order to dress the Manjushri, there are lots and lots of legends. And some of the legends are like far out, incredible. Like the Manjushri legends are like, some of them are, as good as you are watching like a Star Wars. But beautiful, by the way. And this is a great thing about Buddhist sutras. Even though some of these legends sound like very like a fairy tales, actually, it does have a lot of, inner meaning. This is something what the West, especially colonial, they never really understood. For instance, like this is not the right time, but probably like a Mahabharata in the Indian tradition. It's actually a very, very profound story. It's very symbolic and it's really profound. But when you read it, at glance, it's just like a fairy tale. It's like impossible, mind-boggling, completely like a fairy tale. But if you go through it, actually, it's really, really, really profound. Similar here. So I'm just going to give you some legend so that we got set up, okay? But before that, let me just tell you, somehow we human beings, audience, the students, the followers, the audience, the human beings also end up always categorize these deities as a specific deity. For instance, if the Bhutanese wish to have more money, hardly you will pray to Manjushri, would you? It's the Zambala. It's something like a, right? Junma. You will not pray to Manjushri. They will think you are stupid, but it's not true, actually. So Manjushri is always associated with wisdom, intellect, memory, heart, quick thinking, wit. Therefore, I believe, there's been a lot of questions here. I believe that in the Bhutanese school, there is practice of invoking the Manjushri in the morning. So Manjushri is known for being associated with the wisdom. Avalokiteshvara somehow associated with compassion, but that does not mean Avalokiteshvara is kind of slow-witted. Zambala, of course, doesn't mean that Zambala definitely is slow-witted or, So But this is how we end up always doing things, right? Anyway, back to the legend or a story. One far out story, I mean, I shouldn't really say far out, probably I'm being too cynical here, is, you know, Manjushree, oh yeah, this is really, you'll think it's a far out. Manjushri's father is supposedly a turtle. And there's even there's even this story about how the turtles, there were a lot of other turtles and they waged war, and then Manjushri, you know, shot an arrow and then it killed one a turtle, and then the turtle, I think turtle gasp, I guess. So the fire came out from the mouth. The turtle just like peed because it was too much shock, I guess. And then, so the fire, water, and then the arrow's tip is the iron, and then arrows at the end, the arrow is the wood, right? So this is how the zi, you know, sa, you know, like ox ear, fire dragon, all that supposedly have started. So there's that kind of legend or a story. Again, just keep in mind, just don't be quick in sort of condemning or like looking down at them as some sort of a story, because story is important. Story is really, actually, there's nothing that is not a story. If you think about it, human beings are driven by story, isn't it? That's the only language we speak, story. Some of them are very short, some of them are epic, but nevertheless, story. Then there's, okay, so anyway, that whole turtle episode supposedly have happened in Wu Taishan in China, near Beijing, by the way. And that's where Manjushree, supposedly Manjushree's palace is. And so many like beautiful stories. One of my favorite is that Manjushree was sitting there and then he just faced towards Nepal. And then he saw this beautiful, big ocean. And then as he looked at the ocean, he saw inside, somewhere, you know, in the depth of the ocean, he saw a beautiful lotus. And then he realized that that lotus is actually embodiment of all the Buddha's Ushnisha, the tip of the head. And then the Manjushri thought, wow, this is so beautiful and nobody's seeing it. How, you know, sad. Let me just exhibit this. So supposedly Manjushri sent his manifestation, or he actually supposedly have gone there, and then he drained the ocean. Then the lotus revealed, which is supposedly Swambhunath, Papashinkun. Some of you may have gone there. And then there's, by the way, there's actually a place called Tsorari where Manjushri have supposedly drained. There is still that. You can go there. And yeah, and Manjushri thought, well, you know, let me design, you know, this, now the lotus has come up. Let me design surrounding the park, the, I don't know, sort of, you know, the coffee shop, the bookshops, you understand, kind of, you know, the city, by the way. So he designed the city. And in fact, the Nepali, I mean, I think many Nepali, documents has this. Historically, some used to be, Kathmandu is called Manjupatana. Manjupatana, I think so. Manjupatana. You can probably Google it. Manjupatana. So and he supposedly he sent all these craftspeople, like goldsmith, the silversmith, the painter, the carver. So this is why that the descendant of this artist, because of that, till today, supposedly that Nepali, Newaris are very artistic, so on and so forth. But anyway, the story actually is really beautiful. And there's actually a twist in this story. Anyway, as he was busy building the story, I'm putting some color in this, okay? The source of the water was still gushing out. He drained the water. So he thought, oh, okay, this is not good. I need to do something about this. I need to completely stop this. So he really tried to just basically seal the water source. And then suddenly the water source, and it, arised as the, Kali, Dakini, Vajrayogini, however you want to put it. And the source, the water source is actually her secret place. So it's like, what are you doing? Trying to block me? Like, you understand? How dare you? So she was so furious, supposedly. And then Manjushree realized this is the mighty, Vajrayogini. So Manjushree supposedly had received tantric teachings from her. And story goes on actually much more that for a long time, till today, actually, this lady, this yogini, this Kali, whatever, this Dakini is supposedly the guardian of Nepal, guardian of Kathmandu. I'm becoming a little rustic here. That in fact, she actually always is with the king of Nepal. I mean, in the past we are talking, always advising the king how to reign, how to, how to lead, how to manage the country for a long time. Over sometimes lunch, many times over playing dice. So she would be there, the king would be here playing dice, and then, basically like a leisure. And one of the king felt for her as a woman, she's so beautiful, so he couldn't resist. So he felt a little bit of attraction towards her. And then immediately she said, okay, that's it. I will never come back because now you are seeing me as ordinary. You should never see me like an ordinary. And supposedly the king really begged and cried and fainted and like asking her to come back. But then she said no, because sort of the karmic force is finished or damaged or transformed. So her coming to lead Nepal is sort of ended, but she then, as a consolation, she said, I will always come as a young girl, a very young girl. And till today, as some of you know, there's something called Kumari. So by the way, this Kumari, there's a lot of Kumari there, and then many of the Kumari are connected to this Buddhist tradition. I personally, I went to see her. Actually, I was doing something in Nepal, something kind of crucial. So I went. I was thinking, I'm given a chance to set up an art center also. So for some of these reasons, I went to see her, and it was really so special because as I go, there's also public audience, by the way. If you want to go, you can go, and this baby girl will be held with her mother or auntie or father, and then they will come walk on the balcony just for a moment, and that's it. That's the public audience. There's so many people waiting. In fact, the modern Nepali even has further more stories. They said that actually the last king, remember, he had a big disaster. Just before the disaster, the last king refused to go to see this Kumari for the tika, for the blessing, something like annual blessing, because it's kind of embarrassing in the eyes of the international, scientific world. Here I am, a king, and bowing down to a small infant girl, supposedly, but he didn't do that. And there is that kind of a, call it a legend, superstition, whatever you want. And then the next one is this communist prime minister, right? He, of course, refused to go. And then supposedly the earthquake, remember the last earthquake came. I'm really talking about legend story connected to the Manjushri. Anyway, just to finish the story, I went, and as I was going, how every always the spiritual, the superstition, the, materialism, they're all connected. So right at the door, there's all this gift shop. You can buy, you can pay little less, you can pay high. The gift for the yogini, the Devi, Kumari. And the gift consists of a doll also, because she's young after all, right? And then as I was going in, my guide, they were saying, Rinpoche, I hope she will not smile at you, because if she smiles at you, it's a really bad sign that you will live short. Just as I was entering, and I'm holding a doll, of course the baby would be happy, right? Luckily, I went there like early in the morning, and I was waiting there on the floor, and there's all this, like Nepali Pandit, Sanskrit shlokas, beautiful. And actually, I was really listening hard, and they actually chant many Buddhist chant, like Vajrasattva mantra. And then came, they put a red cloth with, the Chunjung, the Dharmakara. It's really quite authentic, I have to say. Just a small throne. I was sitting there. And then came the auntie bringing the Kumari. She was in a bad mood, luckily. She just woke up. She just woke up and she said, and I have to say, I'm sure it's my own, I'm a superstitious person myself. I'm a deluded being, and I have projections. I have to say, the moment that she said that, she's just so special. She just looked at me, and then the Sampandit told her, I forgot the Nepali word. Anyway, they told her to bless me, basically. And she just did it. She just did bless me, put her tiny hand on my head, and I touched her head, put it on my head, and that's it. She just left. So special. Anyway, these are just some of the legend, okay? And then there's many other legends. Okay, probably many of you have heard this, because I think I've told this. Manjushree has supposedly taken oath Nache, right? Or how do you say in Dzongkha? Nake. Like he has taken oath 3 times. Those who go to Mount Butaishan, like Janariwatsenga, he will show up. And he cursed himself, saying that if I don't show up, may my head cracked into thousands of pieces. So no matter what, I will show. Whether you will see him or not depends on you. So there's supposedly this text. And this is an ancient legend again. So in Tibet, there was this Lama who was very, very devoted to Manjushri. And he was reading this. And as he read that, he thought, that's it. I'm going to go to Uttaishan to see Manjushri. Of course, he's going to show up. So those days from Tibet to China, 6-7 months walk, terrain, valleys, mountains, all the hardship. Supposedly he arrived there, searched for Manjushri everywhere, no sign. He was a Tibetan Lama, beggar, not so much money. So he begged some sort of an inn, like a hotel, like sort of like, I guess, like a low-class hotel, almost like a bar also, like where, at night some stuff happens there. And he asked the owner of the hotel if he could park there in the veranda. So she kindly said, yes, you can. But yeah, days after days searching for Manjushri, no sign. But every night there's all these girls, and then there's all these young boys. They were like partying, music, dance, alcohol. And there's this one boy, kind of a little bit arrogant, a little bit like assertive, kind of bossy, always bullying many girls, bullying the boys. He noticed him. And then he himself, this boy, noticed the Tibetan. And the boy reached the Tibetan guy, what are you doing here? The Tibetan guy said, well, all the stories about how he read the text, and, all that story. So the Chinese boy said, you see, you Tibetans, you're just so stupid. You believe in everything that's written in all those scriptures. And you are so superstitious. There's nobody called Manjushri here. You should go back. Winter is coming. Soon, it's true. Mount Bhuta is very, very high. It's really cold. You should go back. You should not be here. You will die with hunger and cold. Anyway, sadly, he decided to go back. But then again, one evening, the boy said, okay, if you're going, what route you are taking? And the Tibetan guy said, well, I guess might as well I will go through Mongolia back to Tibet. And the boy said, okay, actually, I know somebody in Mongolia. Probably they could even help you. I have a letter. Would you take it? Of course, he said. Boy gave him a letter to be delivered. He arrives in Mongolia after many, many months of walking. There in Mongolia, I think it's in Ulaanbaatar, he searched for this name. I forgot the name. It's written, by the way. Name of this guy, supposedly. So he searched everywhere. He couldn't find the address and the person, addressee. Couldn't find. Just as he was about to give up, an old lady came and said, what are you doing? And then he said, I'm supposed to deliver this. The old lady read the address and said, there's nobody by this name, but there is a pig outskirt of the city. There's a pig, really dirty, fat, always eating garbage. Well, there is a pig. So the Tibetan guy thought, since I'd come to this far, why not? So he went there, opened the letter and showed it to the pig. He saw the pig. And the pig was just staring at the letter. And there was a tear from the pig's eyes, and then dropped dead. The pig just died suddenly. So that Tibetan went, oh, this is funny. So he read the letter. So in the letter, it begins with something like, oh, Bodhisattva, so and so. Your mission to benefit sentient beings in Mongolia is over. Return immediately to Mount Wutai, and signed by Manjushree. So that boy happened with the Manjushree. So, okay. So there's many, many legends like this. Now, a little bit more, I don't know, I shouldn't really say legend, but more related to teachings now, okay? So Manjushree comes in many sutras. Manjushree is there many times as an almost like an assistant to Buddha as he teach. For instance, the Vimalakirti Sutra, Manjushree plays a very important role. Remember, there's this guy called Vimalakirti, who was really an arrogant rich man. No monks wanted to deal with this. So finally, the Manjushree had to go. Then there's the whole Dodepalpoche, Apatamska Sutra, which is basically Manjushree sending this disciple, Nurbuzangpo. I think so, it's Nurbuzangpo, in search for other teachers. He has a disciple, and he said, no, you should go and look for another teacher. And then this teacher, the first Manjushree send him to one teacher. This teacher then teach the Nurbuzangpo for a long time. After many years, this Bodhisattva then sent to another Bodhisattva, so on and so forth. So there's, I think, about 52 Bodhisattvas that Nurbuzangpo goes and receive teachings. So there's that kind of, what do you call it, like a Manjushree playing role as a teacher. Well, according to Mahayana, some of the Shastras even say, remember Shakyamuni, Prince Siddhartha, when he was roaming, when he was in the palace as the prince, he saw the death, old age, and sickness. Well, according to a lot of Mahayana sutras, these are all like staged by Manjushree. Manjushree staged the old age. Manjushree staged the sickness to remind the young Bodhisattva, you have to wake up. You have your other things to do. And okay, so then so now in the Theravada tradition, like Burma, Sri Lanka, now for them, they may not relate to Manjushree as how we relate to him. Like in Sri Lanka, I think definitely they have Avalokiteshvara, but I do remember they also have a Manjushree. Many of these Theravadan countries, they have Manjushree. But for them, the Manjushree is like this Chashumi, like some attendant boy, nice looking boy, very, very active, very useful, like multitasking, handy boy, one who brings water. Yeah, there's that kind of feeling which is I think is wonderful. Actually, I can actually like that. Okay, so some of the Theravadan, but now other times, like in Laos and Cambodia, things get much more complicated. Manjushri is, yes, just like us, Manjushri is, yes, sometimes it's a hero in a legend. Sometimes it's a deity, sometimes it's a bodhisattva, sometimes as a instigator of a teaching, so on and so forth. In fact, both, not just Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara also. I think it is in Nepal. Please do some research. In Nepal, there's Avalokiteshvara that has three arms. It's incredible, so beautiful. And there's also in Cambodia, there's Avalokiteshvara, Papa Chendeji, half male, half female. You know, does it ring any bell? Very, very related to, Krishna and, Shiva and Parvati, or the Shiva and Uma, right? So just like that, Manjushri is depicted as some sort of a deity, and I don't know, a body, basically. It's a body representation, symbolism. Manjushri ends up becoming a symbolism for many of this approach. It's a symbol. Manjushri is just a pure symbol. Or, it's... so, we in Bhutan, popularly, we have like a orange Manjushri, Jamyang Ravi Sengye. Then there's a Manjushri that's riding the lion. Then there's a Jamyang Karpo, white Manjushri. Each and every one of them has a specific, blessing or related to a specific wisdom. I'm quite surprised why the black Manjushri is not popular in Bhutan, because there's a lot of Shingzo, for instance, there's a lot of craft related to like house, engineering, like architecture. Supposedly the black Manjushri is related to that. So anyway, and then, if we go deeper into the Manjushri Tantra, like Arya Manjushri Namasangiti, then we are really talking infinite, vast, and deep aspect of the Manjushri. We then are really no more. We are talking about something tangible, extreme, something fabricated. We are talking about not a being. I don't know. It's not, much more than a being, a state, the truth, which we will discuss a little later. But just to finish with the icon or the principle of Manjushri, over the centuries, especially in the Himalayas, you must have heard this. There's also a lot of Manjushri incarnation or Manjushri manifestations. Jambayang Tulku, we say. But we in the Himalayas, whenever we talk about Tulku, we are always talking about a human being, actually, like talking, right? Talking human being, but it's not really true. Actually, the Jambayang Tulku, Manjushri's manifestation can be a park, it can be a, garden. It can be a bridge, and it could be a breeze. It could be your veranda. Let's say you have a veranda that always cherishes you, that always makes, that always makes you cheerful, that always makes you feel, I don't know, closer to the truth, that always makes you remember love, compassion, kindness. Then this, your veranda, probably with few flower pots, can be easily consecrated as the Manjushri's manifestations. But I guess we don't have that kind of cultural approach, especially in, yes, and then there's a lot of different, I actually already told you, there's a lot of different manifestation of the Manjushri. Not always the Manjushri is like peaceful, wrathful. Manjushris are probably the most wrathful, such as the Yamantaka. Okay, so these are, these are my brief introduction to outer Manjushri, as you know of. Okay, so this, I think we kind of all have a understanding of what is Manjushri. Whenever we say Jambeyang, we are talking about somebody, I guess, usually with a sword and a book, but not just with that. There's many other forms of Manjushri. So, okay, enough of this. Now, since we are supposedly doing the introduction of Manjushri, what I should really try to do is not only introduce this outer Manjushri, symbolic Manjushri, or legendary Manjushri, or a story-oriented Manjushri, but we should really talk about sort of the inner and the secret Manjushri. So this is what I will try to attempt today, based on the praise written by Kunchen Mipham Rinpoche. We don't have enough time to extract all the verses, but I want to just share with you. So it's a praise. By the way, it's a very, very Indian tradition. Since, Buddha Dharma came from India, there's a lot of, Indian approach. For instance, like Jampal Tsenje, Manjushri Namasangiti, which is basically names of Manjushri. Something like this you will find also with the Shiva Tantra. There are texts that is just names of the Shiva, names of Kali. So if you want to approach Kali Devi, just read like hundreds and hundreds of names of Kali. Same thing with the Shiva. I think Shiva is in one section, they say that Shiva has 1,000 names. These are all Indian sort of culture, right? Indian culture tradition. Some of the names are so long, like maybe one page. Some of them are very small, very precise. And some of the names are like, let me tell you one name of the Manjushri, which is what this praise is about. Name of the Manjushri is That is really because it's in the Manjushri Namasangiti. Supposedly the sound is the supreme sound. Okay. Anyway, even the title of the praise. Okay, why I should tell you this. Why do we recite names? Why do we recite the names of a deity? This is a very important tantric teaching, because world is driven, not only just the universe, your life, universe, phenomena is driven by names. Think about something that is not a name. It is the name that decides, that identifies, that makes you not get mixed up. Like, oh, I want water. See, water. I don't want coffee. See, names. Names are so important. Name can change your mood. Name can manipulate your emotion. Name can create, I don't know, saliva in your mouth. Let's say you are somebody who's fond of or not fond of lemon. I could be telling you lemon. Immediately you can smell, you can have a saliva, right? So name is like the foundation of all our communication. Don't think like if we recite the name, 100 names, then Manjushri will sort of, okay, what? It's not like that. You understand? Many times we may think, hey, hello, Dorji. Then what now? Just keep, it's not like that. So it's much more deeper. Okay. What else? Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to acquaint, right? We are supposed to today, well, as the title goes, what we are trying to do is we are trying to have the darshan. Darshan means the audience, view. We are supposed to view. I think the darshan in Hindi means view, right? Durdarshan, television, view, vision. So that's what we are trying to do. So in order to do that, normally as a human being, what do? We call name. Rinpoche, can I have your darshan? Right? That's one way. So that recitation of the name, there is a practice. This is called Manjushri Namasangiti. Okay, and each and every name is like so vast. Another way to relate to somebody is by giving gift, right? The flower, or I don't know, a gift. We bring gift to get the attention. But we are not doing this today. What we are doing, another method, praise. Because these are human way of relating to each other. Hey, name. You're so beautiful, praise. Here, I give you this gift. This is all how we humans, this is the only language we know. Actually, if you really want to have the real darshan of Manjushri, don't do anything. No praise, no name, nothing. But that, not many people want to do it, because we are itching to do something, and we don't feel good if you don't do anything. We feel like we are too cheap, or we are too lazy. If I tell you, let's just sit like this, and don't think about past, don't think about the future, and don't even think about the present. Just be like that. That is a darshan of Manjushri. That is an introduction to the Manjushri. You guys will think this is not a proper Buddhist teaching. I have to say, oh, you should chant Om Arapasana Di, this. That's what we are going to do. We are going to do. We are going to do that. But let me tell you, okay, so the title of this praise by Nipam Rinpoche is Namki Chil Tabu. What an incredible the title. He's almost Namki Chil Tabu. Tabu means like or as or what do you call it? Tabu. How do you say in Dzongkha? Tabu. Dejindu. It's like. Zom. That's right. Zom. This zumbe. Zom, right? Tabu. So, the title of the text is Namki Chil Tabu. How do you translate that? Namki Chil. Namka gi ba zom. Namka? Namka, how do you say in Dzongkha? Namka? Space? I mean, in Dzongkha, you have to bear. Namka? Chil? Middle? Namka ki bunaka zom. Namka ki bunaka zom. You understand? That is the title. Can you contemplate a little bit? It's an incredible choice of title. It's incredible because it's poetic. First of all, it's beautiful. Namki Chil Tabu. Yet, it is also a bit of a mockery, joke, mockery, because there is no such thing as Namka gi bu. You understand? There isn't. But of course, every time we point, where's the Namki Chil? Somewhere here, right? We have to say, right? So every time we say the middle of the sky, we are always, it means really, it's a lie, basically. It doesn't exist. Yet, we always say, Namka gi, in the middle of the sky. What do you mean by middle of the sky? In order to be a middle, there has to have this and that, so that this is the middle, right? Yet, we say this. So the title of the book, title of the praise is already talking about the quality of the Manjushri. Quality of the Manjushri. Jambido jila chasam Jawa kunji yabjur chang takden regu Jawa jase shunun namroji taye shinkun dunhawa jambal chola chodu okay takden regu Jawa jase shunun namroji taye shinkun dunhawa. Okay, it begins quite mild tone, poetic, mild, and understandable. I will do a very bad translation. Okay, very rough. And I'm really not a good translator, but just for the sake of communication, you, Manjushri, even though you are the father of all the non-Buddhas, but you look so young. See, mockery, joke, there is that, what do you call it, irony, humor. There's that beautiful, you're supposedly the father of all the Buddhas, there's so many eons, but you look so young. You have no old age, you do not decrease. And with your youthful energy, no matter where I look, I see you. This is another mockery and another profound, actually. What he is saying, what Nipam Rinpoche is saying is, you are the father of all the Buddhas, yet you look so young. No matter where I look, I cannot avoid you. You are always there, even when I'm looking at my coffee. Even when I'm, okay? Not as in there's guy with a sword and a book. You understand? Not in that sense. But yes. Wow, Manjushri. You understand? This level. And then 타의 신근 두나와 잠발치로 조두지 세제자베 아메전 최지연든 판달라 남양두벌 주라메. I have witnessed that all the Buddhas of the 10 directions of the 3 times, they've been trying so hard to praise you, but they still haven't finished because your quality is just inexhaustible. The praise, there will never be an end to praise you, the quality to praise you. Okay. Okay, now getting serious. Emma Chonam Tamjikun, Tashe Tadam Javai, Uma Tenjin Rejungi, Lamdi Kone Chukuntong. Okay, we want to be introduced to the Manjushri. We want to have the darshan, the audience of Manjushri. There's one way to understand. Only by knowing that there is no such thing as time, only by conceiving that there is no such thing as thought, permanent, solid, permanent, exists all the time, or dead, end, Armageddon, you understand? Only by freeing ourselves from thought and check, only by freeing ourselves from all these distinctions of time, color, shape, only by remaining in the sphere of dependent arising, that everything's just dependent. Only if you can understand that, you can have a jeka. That's your chanje, by the way. You know, you need to go and, gift. What's your chanje? You need to be free from distinctions. I'm sure some of you are already thinking, but, isn't he orange? Doesn't he hold a sword? What are those? Wait, there's more. If, okay, Uma tenjin de jung lamdi kon chu godon yendu sipar samje jang cheju kucho mitongde gade zusu tonnaya deda cheju kumayin. If you don't have this kind of attitude of no fabrication, no distinctions, no duality, if you don't have that attitude, sipar samje, even if you are trying so hard to see him for eons after eons, you will never see him. In case, you may see him as a form. That's what he's saying. If you see him as a form, it's not really him, That's what he's saying. More. Because you are not white, you are not blue, you are not red, you are not orange, yellow, you are not green, you are not black. In fact, there is all the color in the world. If you put together, there is no color that can actually identify you. All these colors are not, you are not yellow, you are not orange Manjushri, remember, black Manjushri, blue Manjushri, you are none of that. None of these colors can identify you. Now getting softer again. But I must express how amazing you are, because you do, even though you are none of this color, you do appear as white, as blue, as red, as green, as black. as orange, as bridge, as breeze, as a flower pot, as as a soothing music, as a table, as an Ethiopia medium roast, pour over coffee. You understand? You appear like that, as you, as me. You have chola shaldang chadang ludang yana mingaya shidang trabe natsu yuzu sibapin tuten. You have no face, you have no hand, you don't have a body, you don't have any limbs, yet you appear to be peaceful, you appear to be wrathful, and you manifest in many, many myriad forms. 강게 나서 시바이 통다 줌을 미뉴바 최장 대니 두니지 델레 신도왕 링볼라. Poetic, again making mockery of ourselves. Do you have ideas like infinite? Long, long ago. What does that mean? It means nothing. Actually, I should tell you this. Avatamsaka Sutra, I was telling you, remember? There's Manjushree has this disciple, and he told the disciple, you go and look for another teacher who can teach you something. So he goes, and this teacher teaches him something. After many years, this teacher, the first teacher, then sends him to the second teacher, so on and so forth, okay? My favorite episode is, I think it's around the 37th, I don't remember, you should check. This teacher says, you know, you should go and, I have taught you everything. There's nothing more to teach from my side, but I know there's another teacher who you should really meet. He can teach you something amazing. And he's there somewhere, you know, all the map descriptions of the place. So, I think, yeah, he, you know, heavy heart, you know, departing from the old teacher, now going to the new teacher. He goes, yeah, you know, lots of valleys, mountains, crossing, river, lots of hardship. And finally, he reached to Jamsudam, I guess a beach, where this next teacher is supposedly. And then he's looking everywhere for this teacher. All he sees is this 8-year-old boy with some other kids playing in the sand. You know, he thought, can't be him, you know, it's a little boy. But then he thought, okay, description fits. So he goes to the little boy, just jump to his feet. And saying, you know, I was sent by this so-and-so master. I come here to learn from you, to this kid. And then after many persuasion, this kid, 8-year-old boy, begin to teach. And the subject of the teaching is so incredible. It's numbers. You know, we have you know, it's that. But for us, it finishes after a while, right? Then what? You know, trillion, zillion, whatever. But the boy actually gives him something 20 pages of numbers. And some of them, most of them are ridiculous. Some of them are like a sasa, sese, tata, tete, nana, nene, like that. Beginning with a chick, like that. What does it tell us? It tells us number is actually just made up. You can just make it up. That's what it is. So, we have concept of like long ago, in the future, don't we? So, Sina nazo talji shibirum. Gangi nazo sibai Thomas Zungar miniba church teni duniji delishin dungar rimbala. No one can fathom the beginning of everything, but you are there right from this beginningless. Therefore, you are tall. Now he's talking about the height of the Manjushree. You are so tall that you existed way before the idea of infinite from the beginningless. And you are infinite quantity. You are okay. I'll skip some of the shlokas because it's quite long, and I guess there's some questions I should answer. Let's skip to this one. Chodang dusu namtokpa jita jacheyang mechir kechik machiki konsu mishong jishigyo. Dina nyamba nidila dadang chentang sidangshi tade nidu minepa dila chuku taryangtu. Every moment, in every moment, there's a thought we have. In this every thought, we can think about infinite. We can think about the whole. We can think about the beginning. We can think about the end within this very thought. Therefore, everything fits in the Manjushree. Now this is, now we are, see, remember when I was introducing earlier, I was introducing first the outer Manjushree, you know, the legend, the color, the shape, the story. But then we begin with the inner Manjushree, which is this inexpressible. You are not a color, you are not a shape, yet you are everything. Sort of the shunyata, sort of the emptiness aspect. Now we are beginning to talk about the luminosity aspect of the Manjushree. Because when we are talking about emptiness, Manjushree, it's not like a negation. It's not like nothing exists. Everything is there, present, clear, vivid. Especially right this very moment, the very thought that you have, this mind that you have, it's nothing mythical. It's something that we can experience right this very moment. You do have a mind, I'm sure you do. If you don't have a mind, you're a table, you're a chair, you're a machine. You must. You are hearing, you are experiencing, you are seeing, you are understanding or not understanding, you are getting confused or whatever, but you do have a mind. This luminosity is the secret Manjushree, that which you always have. You cannot do without that. You cannot leave this Manjushree somewhere behind, no matter where you go. Yes, probably sometimes when you are in coma, you may feel that this Manjushree is sort of stopped for a moment or for, I don't know, however long you are in coma or faint. But even then, even let's say you are in coma, you are fainted, you still do have the cognition, you still do have the luminosity, even though it's not, it may appear to be not functioning. And this is the secret Manjushri. And it is this Manjushri that is making you, okay, I'm also adding some of the work of Jamyang Chense Chogyal Lodro, because he also said that it is because of this Manjushri, this innate Manjushri that you have all the time, right this very moment. Because of that, you also feel awkward. There's always sense of melancholy, sentimental, awkward, sadness, because this Manjushri is always trying to guide you. This is not the ultimate. There is something much higher. But of course, people like us, we always go back to the old habit. We have, we dare not face this simplicity. It's too scary. It's too simple. It's too raw. We need to dress it. Remember dressing? Even though you are probably escaping from this innate Manjushri, but it is still there. I think I've taken quite a lot of time explaining all of that. So we are running out of the time, and there are some really good questions. I should give this some chance to go through some of these questions. But I want to just end this with okay, let's just end it with this shloka. Kangshar dika rang tongpa ndile tongpa losume tongpa dei ndi tongching ndini tongpa deimbe delan hangtong tadedu yevan namya yema yin dele sheja nido jo kunchang dini tsujikde nangtong tilla chigingang samjime jeb chusun hang. I'm looking at this table. My habitual mind thinks it's a table, but in reality, it's just a congregation or a collection of some transitory phenomena, plank, I don't know, nails. Just the fact that I'm using as a table, that's also a big part. Other than that, there is no such thing as a tableness, the self of the table. Yet, I can, even though there is no truly existing, independently existing nature of the table, I could still use it as a table. This emptiness and the appearance are never independent from each other. This appearance and the emptiness do not negate each other. Just like the mirage, just like the dream, just like the rainbow, it can appear, yet it doesn't have to have truly existing entity. knowing this true nature of all the phenomena is the darshan of Manjushri. And knowing this is the supreme prajna, which means the wisdom. Knowing this, going beyond this duality is the wisdom. And that is the true Manjushri. From this prajna comes all the Buddhas. Those who know this prajna completely, without any leaving behind, is the actualization of the Buddha or the Nirvana. This is why we refer Manjushri as the father of all the Buddhas. Why youthful? Because the wisdom of the non-duality can never be drained, decreased by the, drain, worn out, haggard, exhaustion. All this exists only within the world of duality. The non-duality cannot be contaminated or corrupted by the what do you call it? The old age of duality. So this is why Jampal Jenur Churba, Jenu, youthful, always. Okay, so since today, and some of you may be not even a Buddhist or whatever, so, but you can still sit here and observe what we are doing. But what I want to do now is I want to do a transmission of Manjushri, okay? Because today is also, as some of you know, is Sechu, right? And in fact, according to Jamyang Chense, and I think Mindu Lingpa also, today is a Tenda Sechu. Some people think Tenda Sechu is the 5th month, but some other lamas think today is the Tenda Sechu, which is also Guru Rinpoche's birthday, Tenda, the monkey month. So since today is Guru Rinpoche's day, what I want to do is I'm going to combine Guru Rinpoche and Champalyang together. And I'm going to give you the transmission of Lama Mahavi Sengye, the Guru Lord of the speech. And you do this all the time, many of you, so it's nothing new. But anyway, please repeat after what I say, okay? Damche rinchen senbitse kusal vezir mdangdang den chaye den legbam nam yempe purbi putinam samichanam tuksu chu yangle shechi pendita tuji dala jinjilop zebe dala wonsusol gongbe dala ngudupzor nube daso parchesol chi parche chiruso nangi parche nangdusol sangwe parche ingsusol gube chasal Jasuchi, Om Ahum, Benzaguru, Pema Siddhihum, Om Ahum. Oh, there's this text. Can you bring that? Continue to repeat after me. Namo Manjushriye Kumaraya Bhutaya Bodhisataya Mahasataya Maha Karunikaya Tatyatha Om Araze Biraze Shuddhe Vishuddhe Shodaya Vishodaya Amale Bimale Nirmale Zaya Vare Ruru Zale Hung 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 Pat 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 Swaha Om Ara Patsa Na Di. Om Ahum Benzaguru Pema Pranjajana Sarvasiddhi Hum. Okay. There's also a sadhana written by Karma Chame. Kedutabadi Namo Kunshusum de Lamanjum, Dunam Kundutani, Tombing and Demanda, the singing between the Shili into each and Radiputin. Dindu Shili and Genamon. Rage number in the Shidima mid Sanjay Tanji Chebim. Ah, the only Jay images don't get can the tensions on Dingy Egypt. Lucian Junologism ribbon Thomas Midget and Jambri Sungidani jumped in the Bama rigid was I sang this one, the shut up to use so at the vision without Jambal might be shut up that the closer yes, Japan. Let me chin up the show. Okay. So we can begin with questions. Do you want to read the questions?
We have questions from both the local audiences as well as the international audience. One from the global audience received on YouTube. It says, Rinpoche-la, what if we simply cannot feel enough confidence or reverence when we conceive any Buddha or Bodhisattva without form or with the belief that they are our mind?
Yes, therefore, you need all this symbolic Manjushri or any kind of deities. The principle of deity is actually a difficult subject, and it is definitely not a subject that is easily understood by non-Indian, what do they call it? Dharmic tradition, dharmic as in, like in India, dharmic tradition. It's something alien to a lot of, like a European It's a very alien. So I think this is why when the Europeans came to India, all these deities, plus of course, to be fair, there's also local shamanists, this and that. So they all sort of put it all together as, oh, this is their gods. But Indian gods in general, especially the tantric deities, just like the, the Buddhist tantric deities, like in Bhutan, not that easy to be understood if you have a certain mindset. Remember, in Buddhism, the mindset is that everything is just your mind. Your mind creates everything. So this much you have to have. This, at least this kind of mindset you have to have. If you think that there's some God outside there who dictates your life, who created this life, in that context, everything what you see in our Timbuzong or all the Gamba, Lahang, then they're really, it may not fit in with you, but if you pay some attention, then actually, there are so many attributes. Like if you go to Timbu Chetan, since many of you must go there, right? Kagong Pursum, there's a Vajrakilaya, there's a Lama Gongdu, and there's a Malhotra Heruka. If you look through each and every, we call it Sha, but deity. They represent something. I mean, I could talk about the Vajrakilaya just as how we talked today. He's not white, he's not red, he's not round, he's not triangle, he's not square, but he's everything this way. But how do you communicate this through symbolic language? Can you understand? I mean, how do you, a lot of the time, symbolism is also a little different. Like in the Christian religion, maybe the symbolic is like the cross, for instance, but that actually happened towards the end of his life. There was the cross and the crucifixion and all of that. But for the, the Buddhist symbol or icon, it's not like that. Let's choose one. Let's choose one very popular, probably something that you always see, but you may have never really paid attention. One symbol, such as trying to get something that is so easy to relate, I think, or easy to notice. Okay, Vajra, Doji and Tilbu, the lamas have this Vajra and the bell, Doji and Tilbu. It's a very big symbol. So Vajra there are many different types, by the way. There's a Doji Tsechikpa, for instance, one spoke Vajra, which is one spoke, three spoke. One spoke and three spoke Vajra is not so much found in places like Himalayan Vajrayana, but it's very popular in Japan, like Shingon, Tantric, they have that. In Bhutan, our Dorje has, Dorje, right? Many of your name must be Dorje. Dorje this, Dorje that, right? Dorje, what is Dorje? So if you ask, what is Dorje? They will give you this, made in probably Delhi. You understand? It has usually 5 spoke or 9 spoke. usually it's 5 spoke. So there's a 5 spoke, there's another 5 spoke down there. Wow, we could be sitting here for ages talking about this. Each spoke represent your emotion or your aggregate. So you have, form, feeling, consciousness, your aggregate. And then you have also emotions such as desire, anger, jealousy, emotion. So each spoke represents that, but it's much more. Each of these emotions, they are actually the raw material for 5 wisdom. So 5 emotion is basically 5 wisdom. I think I've used this example a lot. Like a kilo of a rough ore, unpolished gold, is kilo of gold. Just like that, a kilo of anger is a kilo of a mirror-like wisdom. Therefore, kilo of anger, let's say there's no such thing as a kilo of anger, but kilo of anger is a kilo of Akshobhya Buddha. Akshobhya, in Turkey, we call it Mitukpa, right? Mitukpa. Or maybe you know Repame. You know Repame? Yeah, so who is Repame? Desire. Remember I told you? Desire. So kilo of desire is kilo of discrimination wisdom. Therefore, it is a kilo of a Repame. So to represent that, we have this Vajra. Okay? Oh, actually, even better, bell. What is the bell representing for? Shunyata. Have you ever thought about that? Emptiness. And this is actually a really good one, because what do you call it? The one that hits the bell, anyway, the metal, the bell, where do you find the sound? And your hand and your ear, if one of them is missing, there's no sound. But ear, hand to ring, and that body and that metal, if they're all there, there's a sound. See? Empty, nothing is there, but everything is there at the same time. So this, to represent that, I mean, to a smart person, you can just say this, but most of we are not smart. I mean, as in, wisdom. So we need very strong, very, very strong symbolism. Symbolism. And bell is such a important, by the way, we in Bhutan, we have a symbol of big phallus, which is sort of dying. I don't see it in Thimphu a lot, which is kind of a shame, I think. There should be much more. Somebody should actually, I'm actually recruiting some activists to resurrect this one. There's something quite interesting about this. When you ask a villager, why do you have this big phallus hanging on your door or from the roof? They will say karam dokpe, which means to divert. How do you, what is karam in English? Reputation? Reputation? Fame? Known? What do you call it? It's like, okay, so I will explain. It's basically when you become famous or unpopular, or both popular, by the way. It's not like you are trying to only get rid of being unpopular. This is actually rooted to Pema Lingpa's teaching. And actually, I was reading this, it's fascinating. And it's so related to today's world. Okay, so according to this symbolism, basically, if you are unpopular, of course, we don't like, right? Nobody likes to be unpopular, but we all like to be popular. But you know, popularity makes you imprisoned. Your freedom is gone. You are finished. You can't do, I mean, you can't walk with your underwear and only with your underwear and open window. You know, because you are popular, somebody would take a photo and put it in Instagram, right? Then you are finished, whatever. So you can't say what you want to say. You can't behave how you want to behave. So this is actually one of the biggest disorder creating force. Karam, I think in the Sharchokpa, I think it's a Sharchokpa language, Karam. Basically being known. When you are being known. There's so many beautiful cultures like this I think it still exists in the rural Bhutan, like newly born baby, they will put a black sort of ink on nose. And I would ask her, mother, why would you do that? And say, oh, you know, it's so beautiful. And you have to sort of make it a little bit imperfect so that all these ghosts and gods, they won't take him away or they won't feel jealous. See, it of course got distorted, but it's very related to some sort of a wisdom. Because when you are known popularly or unpopularly, it doesn't matter. You are a prisoner. So I guess in the past, those who want to divert that kind of attention, you hang these big. But you see, like all the methods, they could get corrupted, right? So in Thimphu, probably in the past, there's that guy has the biggest phallus. So instead of diverting the, known, you actually end up becoming known for somebody who has the biggest phallus hanging on the window. Or so anyway, I don't know. What was the question? I forgot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The next question.
This is from the local audience here. Rinpoche, could you please explain what it exactly means when we recite the Manjushree mantra, Om Arapatana Didi, which literally translates as ripen the mind? Yes. How should I apply this to my everyday life?
Okay, good, very good. Ripen, I think the word ripen is little bit, I mean, we have no other choice. Min is like minpa, you know, xingde, min. You know, in Dzongkha we say min, ripe, min. See, this is how the Buddhists think. Buddhists, especially in Mahayana Buddhism, and most especially in the Vajrayana, your mind is like this. Your mind is already perfect as the Buddha. Remember, or like before the gold is polished, the rock is like that. So what do we need to do is we need to ripen it. We need to polish it. Okay, so like all of us, let's say we have the banana seed. Okay, so we need to now, actually not just the seed, banana fruit, but a little bit raw, maybe for now. Let it ripen it, fully ripen it. This is a beautiful concept. You know, unlike many other religion where you are not perfect, you ask somebody to make you perfect. It's important. You're already perfect. You just need to ripen it. You need to come out of this cocoon. You need to actualize it. You need to what do you call it? Namsatta. Matured, right? Matured. So supposedly Om Arapasanadi, by the way, this Om Arapasanadi is not just that, but one of the meaning is Om Arapasanadi is to ripen this innate Manjushri. And how does that happen? Because even the very Sid syllable, Sid mantra, Om Arapatana, all these Sid syllable, they, as you chant, it penetrates your nadis, your channels, chakras, and it creates space. It helps you to ripen. But each syllable also has some other definitions. Probably we don't have much time to discuss. Okay, next question.
This is from Kedar, YouTube audience. At the beginning, you mentioned 8 bodhisattvas. Many deities have an entourage of 8. What is the significance of 8?
Oh, useful question. Yes, 8 bodhisattvas, 8 Guru Rinpoche, Guru Tsenje, you know, all that 8 business. Rashita Je, Rashidze Je, all this 8 business. It's important, by the way. It's something to relate it to. Actually, if you want to really know the highest symbolism, what is it that is being symbolized? It's the 8 consciousness. 8 consciousness. So, see, right now, I'm looking at you and I'm using my eye consciousness. But I'm only using as an unripened, unmatured, disturbed, disordered, corrupted eye consciousness. So all I see is dualistic phenomena. I'm not saying that you are ugly or anything like that. I just see color, shape, limited. You understand? Names. I look at you and I see you, some as a man, some as a woman, and that's really, really limited. You are actually not man, you are not a woman. Those men, women, that category is so limiting. You are very infinite. Actually, you are so much more than a man, woman, paro, I don't know, Shachokpa, you know, all this Babesa, none, you are more than that. But I don't see it because my eye consciousness is limited. So same thing, ear consciousness, nose, tongue, so on and so forth. So 8 consciousness. This is actually a very big subject in the Tantra, 8 consciousness. In fact, not just the 8 bodhisattvas, there's also 8 we call it offering goddesses. And that's actually very interesting, by the way. So 8 bodhisattvas, male bodhisattvas, and 8 female bodhisattvas. Okay. So okay, it differs in many different tantric texts, but I'll be using, I think, Karma Lingpa. You know, Karling Shito, Karma Lingpa. Okay, so I'm a yogi, let's say, and I'm practicing, and I'm really trying to ripen my eye consciousness as a Sai Ningbo, Kishti Garba, one that's very popular in Japan, Kishti Garba, okay? So instead of using my eye consciousness as ordinary, very limited, corrupted, dualistic, defiled, I use it as a Sai Ningbo. Now, as I look at you, or as I look at this, as I'm looking at this, this is my object. The object is actually, how do you, I can't really translate. It's a female bodhisattva. It's called Gekmoma. Gekmoma. In Dzongkha, like this. What do you call it? How do you say this? Catwalk, Nyengkung. And what else? Some other language, Dzongkha. Namjur. You understand? So think about it. It's so beautiful, isn't it? They are in union. Yap and Yum. The I consciousness, Sai Nyingbo, Yum, all this Nyengkung is the Yum. Remember? Yap and Yum, always in union. It's not like Yap goes to Paro and the Yum is now cooking here. You understand? Do you understand? Always together. But you see the Yum, the consort, Bodhisattva, Gekmoma, is pure aspect of all the vision, basically. Okay. So right now, my vision, see this, some green flask, so limiting, so limited, so dualistic, so defiled. So the consort, the female bodhisattva, same thing. It differs in different tantra, but ear, I think it's Avalokiteshvara, father, bodhisattva, music, bugs, all the sound I'm hearing is Dhamma, means the, there's usually it's painted with somebody who plays guitar. There's a it's everywhere. So it's like that. Okay. So next question.
This is from Sonam Chuki, local audience here now. Respected Rinpoche, in every school across Bhutan, the teachers and children start their day at school with Gangi Lodre supplication to Manjushree. How should our educators, teachers, children understand and relate with Manjushree to receive his blessing of wisdom?
This is a really big question, and I would really want to see our teachers not presenting Manjushri as some sort of a outer god. That would be nice, but I don't know how successful you will be, because there's all that statues and all that. And especially for the kids, talking about the nature of the mind, the emptiness and the shunyata and the luminosity is just too much. It's too, that message I don't think is going to go across. I have been actually talking to kids. I do sometimes ask, do you have mind? And they actually surprisingly give some amazing answer, So it would be good if the teacher can somehow, lead them to think that the Manjushri is always with them, that they need to bring it out. as a force of wisdom, as a force of kindness, compassion. So that one needs a bit of a tactic, I guess. So because right at the end, there is a very beautiful word, Dalu Munsel, which is kind of important. Of course, at glance, it sort of says, you who will illuminate the darkness in my mind. But it has some other meaning, which is the illuminator. The illumination has to come within yourself. And you actually already have this lamp, always, in flame. You just need to reveal it, something like this. Okay, one more question, and then I think we can end it.
This question is from Jesus Love International Audience. Says, Dear Rinpoche, how can I bring into experience the understanding that can be had of non-duality? Reading about it, I understand and feel that I almost experienced it, but I can't break the duality.
But this is of course, classic question. And there's many methods to do that. There's so many methods. One very popular method to, stabilize or to actually practice the non-duality is vipassana. But in order to really stabilize the vipassana, you should do the shamatha. Shamatha, it's like, let's say there's a pond. Let's say the pond is muddy, a lot of dust, lots of mud. So what do? You let the pond be. Let it be, let it be. So all the mud, the dust settles, and then you see the clear water. So that's sort of a shamatha. So in this technique, you let your mind be. Do not stir with all sorts of reference of books, teachings, not just that, values, all kinds of values that we have learned. We do that by, there are a few techniques such as just watching the breath, just watching the, a statue or something. So this will develop that calmness, but that's not good enough because the mud is still there, settled. Any day, any time when the situation arises, the mud can come up. So now we need to get rid of the mud. So to do that, there's a technique called vipassana, which is a really extensive. There's a very sort of the beginning stage of the shamatha, the vipassana, which is just looking at the body, for instance. So just looking at the body, it could even be like this, just looking at the body without any judgment. As you do that, right now, whenever, let's say I'm looking at my hand. When I'm looking at my hand, I'm looking at it in one unit because that's how my brain is, all my hand, right? One unit. But it's not, but hand is not one unit. There's a skin, there's a bones, there's all sorts of things. Like all the fingers, nails. So after a while, the Vipassana practitioner will go beyond this one unit. So this trained mind will look at hand in parts. Oh, my skin. Oh, my nail. You understand? But even that is a unit. So this is how you develop. And this is achievable, by the way. I have a very good, I use this example. I want to tell you, I used to have a staff, actually my secretary, who was a biochemist. really good one. She's actually PhD on this one. She's really, really well trained. I don't know why she was doing my secretarial work, it's answering some very trivial questions. But anyway, she is for years trained to see virus, right? So everywhere she goes, there's just so many tissue, so many hand sanitizer. Because she's so trained to see everything else. So everywhere we go, there's always a lot and lots of tissues. Cleaning always, because she began to see virus. See, for us, we don't see virus, but she's trained. Just like that, right now, I'm looking at you as one unit. Oh, this guy, I know this guy, he's from Gedu, like that. So you see, one unit. I don't decipher. So as you begin to decipher your phenomena, then you will lose judgment, because this kind of looking at one thing with one unit, basically generalization. We are always generalizing, looking at one unit. Everything from hand to democracy is good. It's a one unit. It's a generalization. It's not a specification. So this is how you can get used to non-duality. So once you reach to a stage where you see your hand as not as one unit, but as skin, as bones, as nails, as blood, then the duality of my hand is beautiful or ugly, all of that will subside. Then you go to the next stage. Okay, so I will end this here. Yeah. As I said earlier, today is a Guru Rinpoche's day, and I'm sure some of you are just waking up, others are going to bed. Beyond here. Have aspiration that one day you will study a sutra called Chotamji Jumamibito, which is, it's a sutra, it's a really a sutra involving discussion between Manjushree and the Buddha, of course, and many arhat. And then also have aspiration to study Manjushri Namasangiti, which is sometimes referred as king of all the Tantra. With that, I'll just end here with dedication.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for this precious teaching, love. Please do continue to guide us forever. And on behalf of all the students here, local as well as international students online, I would like to request Rinpoche for precious teachings such as this also in future. Love. Prayers for Rinpoche's long life for the sake of deluded beings like us. Thank you.